Okay, hey kiddos, I want you to look around. I'm going to point out some things to you, and I want you to show me examples of it, all right? How about, okay, well, I'll explain it, you'll get it. Okay, you get it? You like this color? What color is that? Green. Now, there are a lot of different shades of green, right? And that's gold. You're absolutely right. Okay, can you turn around and look anywhere in the church you want to? I mean, like, don't run in the basement or anything, but I need to see different shades of green. Who can find it? Where? Windows, yeah. All over the windows. Different shades of green. Where else? No, yeah, on the organ. Excellent. Yeah. What did you see up there? Way back. Oh, yeah. Green coat. Excellent. Anything else? Where? What? Oh, yeah. The clock has a little green in it. Okay, let's change the color. Oh, yeah, like above the door? Yeah, okay. Hey, let's change our color. You want to do yellow or gold? I mean, yellow or gold. All right, so they're kind of close colors. So, yeah, right there. Right there. Where else? Oh, my goodness, the windows again. Yeah, oh, and right there. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, my goodness. Oh, my goodness. I'm gonna have to see a chiropractor. You guys are going to see so many times. Yeah, person put that right here. Oh, my goodness. Oh, okay. Yes, right there. Oh, okay, time out. Now, you guys are pretty good at this. And right there. Okay. Now, oh, hey, this is a good one. Thanks for showing me this one. Okay. Now let's change from color to shape. Things that are round. The mics? Yeah. And then the vase, and that, and hat. Girls, you're not helping me.
Hey, I know that's round.
What? And this is round? Yeah. Wow. Oh my goodness. It's over there, isn't it? You know, and I can just keep changing it. Now I can change it to this. I can change the color. I can change the shape. I can change to something soft, textural, etc. I can do anything. And then how about if I do it this way? This time. Yeah, well, I think that's the only turtle shell in the whole church. Okay, now how about this one? How about a shape? And I want you to look around it and not see it anywhere. Ready? The shape is a straight line. Look around, and you can't see it anywhere. I don't want you to see it anywhere.
Okay.
Anybody not seeing it anywhere?
Okay. What?
You're not allowed to see it. Are you seeing it?
No.
Does anybody see a straight line anywhere?
No.
Anywhere? I mean, not allowed to.
I do.
Yeah, you do, don't you? All right, you lose. Girls, do you see a straight line anywhere? Because I told you you're not allowed. Hey, everybody look right here. What's that? Oh, you lose too. You can't help it. Once I say don't see it, you see it everywhere, don't you? You're sitting there seeing it. I'm seeing it there and there. It's everywhere. It's all over the place. Like up there, you see where it's not up there. You're staring at that thing? Well, right above that thing is the pew. See the top line of the pew? See how what a nice straight line it is? You don't want to, but you can't help it, can you? Children. Here's something that I discovered. When you see, I know it's everywhere. When you see something, when somebody tells you to see something, suddenly you can't help but see it. It's everywhere. And here's what I'm discovering is everywhere. People need to be helped. People need to be helped. Like somebody will be standing there and they'll be holding a turtle shell and they'll drop it. Guess what? She just proved it. She can't help it. She's got to pick it up and hand it to him because she's nice. He's got to take it out of his brother's hands because he's nice. When you focus, here, come over here. When you focus on trying to see the needs of people, you're going to see that they are everywhere. At the end of church, people are going to be back to trying to get their coats on. And they'll be like tugging on their sleeve and go, I could help with that. Because you can't help but see that people have needs. So here's what I want you to start doing. Start looking for ways that you can help people, and you'll find that there are needs of people everywhere, and you can help them, and you'll have a right to it. You want to pray for us today? I mean, it's kind of a yes or no question. No? You want to pray for us today?
No, I do
You want
this.
to pray for us today? Do you want to pray for us today? Do you want to pray for us today? Okay, here. I've been told I need to give you the microphone. That's as far as I can go. You've got to come a little ways. Can you do it? All right, I'll stand up. All right. Okay, that microphone will be there. Let's pray. So you guys,
Somebody's looking at me.
are you awake? Okay, I'm obsessed. This whole concept of being a world changer, I can't help but see it all the time. I can't help but notice things that people are doing and opportunities before me. So I'm going to give you a weekly update. This was a rich week for me in seeing people do things and having opportunities to do things to change my world. One of my coworkers, Joey Turner, had a birthday this week, and he treated himself by stopping at Starbucks on the way to school and was prompted to buy 2 cups of coffee instead of 1. So he walks into school, one for himself and one for he didn't know who. And he just starts walking down the hall. I'm so glad I have first period as my planning period, because he walked in my room and goes, "Do you want a cup of coffee?" I said, "Always and forever." And he said, I stopped at Starbucks, and it's like the Lord said, "Buy 2, and you'll find somebody to give it away." So that was a great world-changing act. On the way out of church last Sunday, Beverly handed me a little, what looked like a lunch sack. And I had 2 helpings of some kind of apple dessert that was made in heaven. The angels put this together. And Linda and I were blessed in the afternoon. Linda's co-worker sits right next to her at the high school office. Was in the line to the McDonald's drive-thru on the way to school one day this week, and she just went, "Why not? I'll take care of the car behind me," and paid the bill for the person behind me. Friday afternoon, I have 2 planning periods. It's just not fair. We're going to talk about why I have 2 planning periods. But first period and last period, well, they call them free periods. There's nothing free about it. But anyway, so I'm in my room, and I knew that this is a big week this coming week at Dave Christian. We have an accreditation team coming in to evaluate us. They come every 5 years. And so we've been working very hard to get ready for them. And I thought, you know what? I have papers to grade, but there's an urgent need here. So I went down to the assistant principal and I said, "I know you're swamped. Is there anything in this last hour I can do?" And she said, "Well, you know, all the paperwork's been in for months." She goes, "You know what? I was going to walk around the high school, and I was just going to look for anything. Any posters on the wall that were like from 2 weeks ago, any bulletin boards that have a little curling edge. I was just going to button things up a little bit, maybe look at the windows and see if they need to be spruced up." So I spent the last hour of Friday. I looked like a janitor, and it was jeans day at school, so I really looked like a janitor. I had a bottle of Windex in this pocket right here, and a roll of paper towels, and a stapler over here, and I'm stapling things and washing windows, and it was so much fun to alleviate her stress a little bit. I mean, she was going to do that, and I was able to do that for her. Yesterday I was at the state wrestling meet and rode over with the high school principal, and we got to lunch, and he goes, "I got it." It's like, okay, changed my world at lunch. I mean, it was just a rich week. And then this last one. State wrestling meets are expensive. I mean, it's $15 for every session, and they clear the stadium in between sessions and make you repay to come back in. But what are you going to do? Go back to date? No, you're going to pay $15 more and support your people. And so I had my morning ticket, and I needed to get my afternoon ticket. So we were there really early, and I thought, well, why not go ahead and get the afternoon ticket now and not have to wait in line when it's, crazy. So I went down the staircase. There were only about 12 people at the shop when I got there. We got there really early. And as I'm walking back up to my seat, having just spent $15 on the ticket, no one else in this staircase. There's a $20 bill wadded up on the ground. And I picked that up and I went, "Thank you, Jesus. I think I'll get that to Dr. D on the 18th. I'm going to donate to him." So put it in my pocket. Then later in the afternoon, a coworker called me and he said, "Hey, are you at the wrestling meet?" I said, "Yeah." And he goes, I just finished a graduate class in Columbus, and I was thinking about coming over. And I said, well, I'll meet you at such and such a door. I said, do you have a ticket yet? And he said, no. And he said, and I got to stop the ATM to get money. And I said, buddy, I am God's ATM for you. He put $20 on the staircase for you. I'll get your ticket for you. And again, just another opportunity to do, a tiny little world-changing act. You know how when you buy a new car, and you think, oh, I like that red Buick. I'm going to be the first person in Miami County to have a red Buick. And you buy the red Buick. Then you start driving the red Buick around and you say, everybody in Miami County has the same year, the same model, the same color. As then you notice it once you have it, right? That is happening to me in this obsession. God didn't ask me to change the whole world. He didn't ask you to either. Just ask you to change your world. And once you lock in on that, it's kind of like what I was saying to the kids this morning. You can't help but see opportunities. They're everywhere. Nothing huge, just little opportunities constantly. You can't help seeing the opportunities. And you can't help seeing how many people in our world are on purpose deliberately changing other people's worlds. I am so excited that God didn't call me to change the whole world. I want to eavesdrop this morning on the Apostle Paul. He is such a world changer, just such a great world changer. And so I want to take you to 1 Corinthians chapter 9. And this is going to be funny, and I think you're going to find some humor in this. See, since I'm the one that gets to talk every Sunday, you guys get to see my thinking pattern unfold at the snail's pace that it usually unfolds, right? And so, I arrive at these conclusions 4 months after I started a sermon series, and I say, I think I found the heart of the matter now. And you say, yeah, we found the heart of the matter a long time ago. You could have cut that to a 2-week sermon series. Sorry, I'm the one that gets the microphone. I think I discovered in one paragraph the overarching attitude of a world changer. And I think I discovered in that same paragraph the overarching method of a world changer. Because I've been eavesdropping on Paul and Peter and all these people in Scripture. Okay, they're world changers. What do they do? What are they up to? But I think I found the overarching principle and the method. Look, 1 Corinthians chapter 9, beginning in verse 19. And we're picking it up right in the middle of an argument, but it's what we're doing. Verse 19, though I am free and belong to no man, Paul writes, I make myself a slave to everyone to win as many as possible. To the Jews I became a Jew to win the Jews. To those under the law I became like one under the law, though I myself am not under the law, so as to win those under the law. To those not having the law I became like one not having the law, though I am not free from God's law, but under God's law, so as to win those not having the law. To the weak I became weak, to win the weak I have become all things to all men, so that by all possible means I might save some. I do this for the sake of the gospel, that I may share in its blessings. Oh my goodness, do you see the overarching attitude of a world changer? It's all tied up in what he says in that first sentence, verse 19. Though I am free and belong to no man, you ready for the principle? I make myself a slave to everyone. Attitude of a world changer. Not because he has to, not because he's commanded to, but because he's willing to. A world changer forces himself into slavery. He says, put on the handcuffs, put on the fetters, put me in prison. I am bound to do this. So this is an act of his will. I force myself. And what's he forcing himself to be? A slave. To whom? Everybody. A world changer has his ears up and his eyes open, and he's scanning the horizon. He's looking at anybody as a possible victim of an act of world changing. He's just constantly looking. What can I do? What can I do? How can I serve? What can I do on behalf of the gospel of Jesus Christ? I'm just looking. And everybody is a worthy target of my act of kindness. Everybody is. I'm a slave to everybody. I absolutely love this. Now, you have to ask this question. What on earth would compel the Apostle Paul to get to a point where he deliberately says, I am the world's servant. I am a slave to anybody, and if a need crops up right in front of me, I am bound to serve that person. What would get an Apostle Paul to that point, to have that as his attitude? Pay attention to him we just sang. Dee and I are not in cahoots. We don't work together on this stuff. The third verse of How Great Thou Art. And when I think that God, his Son not sparing, sent him to die, I scarce can take it in. That on the cross, my burden gladly bearing, he bled and died to take away my sin. We have written testimony from the Apostle Paul, and we looked at it for the last 2 Sundays. Romans chapter 12, verse 1. Critical. Romans 12:1 says this, with eyes wide open to the mercies of God, I urge you, brothers, to present your bodies as living sacrifices. And what I tried to communicate to you effectively or not the last 2 weeks was this. We have to open our eyes to the mercies of God in our own lives, not to the world's needs, but to ours. We have to open our eyes and do some reflection, and the reflection can be kind of difficult. When you think back in your life to everything that you have done where you deserve to have God kibosh you with consequence, God said, no, I think I'll absorb that consequence for you. You do that kind of reflection over several decades of living, and like the Apostle Paul, you will say, God has been so merciful to me. How great thou art. How can I do anything but push that cow out of the way at the altar and put myself on the altar? And now in 1 Corinthians 9, how can I do anything but enslave myself to every human in the world and say, man, if I see a need over here, I'm going over here and I'm going to meet that need. Why? Because I have reflected on the mercy of God in my life. And now, having become the living demonstration of God's mercy, I want other people to be a living demonstration of God's mercy in their lives. I want them to understand how liberating it is to say, all the junk that I deserved. And God said, no. I'm going to push that aside. I will take the blame for that. The attitude of a world changer is this: ears up, eyes open, scanning the horizon, looking for someone to enslave myself to in an act of world-changing kindness. Why? Because that's what God did for me. The overarching attitude is a pretty crazy attitude, because I now have to look at everybody as a possible target of God's mercy through me. But don't stop there, because in this same paragraph, Paul gives the overarching method of a world changer. Oh, okay, so how do we do that? Did you notice this in verse 20? To the Jews I became a Jew, to win the Jews. To those under the law I became like one under the law, so as to win those under the law. To those not having the law I became like one not having the law, so as to win those not having the law. To the weak I became weak, to win the weak. I have become all things to all men, so that by all possible means I might save some. Don't miss this method. A world changer, he says, man, I'll do anything it takes. I will become what you want me to become in order to build a bridge into your life and pour the grace and mercy of God into your life, because I understand God's mercy in my life. That's my method. And you're thinking, wait a minute. He said to the Jews, I'll become a Jew. Oh, Greg, I live in Miami County. We don't have any Jews. Yeah, it's true. We don't have a very big Jewish population here, do we? Okay, that doesn't apply. And Greg, these people that are living not under the law, I don't even know what that means. So I can't really relate to that. So this method doesn't work for me. No. Process what Paul just said, and it gets powerful. Do you know what I did with my last 3 Saturdays? I went to the sectional, the district, the sectional, the district, and the state wrestling meet. I spent my last 3 weekends watching wrestling. Can I say something off the record? If you tell my boys, I will not be happy with you. I don't really give 2 hoots in the holler about wrestling. I don't know anything. I know something now. I know a little bit about how sparring works. I cheer. I was reprimanded yesterday. A wrestler, when I was cheering, said, "Hey, this is a wrestling meet, not a basketball game." I was cheering too much. Okay, supposed to be silent in the championship round. Okay, I learned that now. I don't really care a whole lot about wrestling. But knowing that 5% of my entire student population had qualified for the state finals, I was bound to pour into their lives by becoming a wrestling fan for the last 3 Saturdays. I get Paul's method. To the wrestlers, I become a wrestling fan. If I have a student that's, I can't tell, like speed knitting, I'll go to a speed knitting convention if I need to. Why? Because of what Paul just said. The method is, I become all things to all men so that I might, oh, you got it, no, you're looking at me. Look down at verse 22. To the weak I became weak, to win the weak I have. Now watch this line. I have become all things to all men so that by all means possible I might change my world. Oh, I changed that right there. But that's what he says, isn't it? He's not trying to save the whole world. Paul isn't going after everybody in the world. I became all things to all men so that by all means possible I might save some. The overarching attitude of the world changer in this paragraph is, the mercy of God on me has been so abundant. Man, I am enslaved to take that message to other people. Which other people? Anybody that God walks in front of my world. And I'm not going to meet all of their needs. I'm just going to be like watching. My ears are up, my eyes are open, I'm scanning the horizon. I'm looking for $20 bills now on staircases, and then a need of about $15. So I'd say, I'll buy that ticket for you. I'll buy that lunch for you. Hey, I'm up yesterday. I had my lunch paid for. I found $20 and spent $15. I'm up $5 plus the price of lunch. I can't give God in his mercy and grace. But the attitude, the overarching attitude of a world changer is my ears are up, my eyes are up, I'm scanning with eyes and looking for needs. I'm just looking for needs. And when the Holy Spirit says, that's the one, boom, I'm on it. Why? Because I will do anything it takes to build a bridge into somebody's life in order to communicate the gospel to them. Look at how Paul ends his argument in verse 23, because there's a blessing for the world changers, not just those whose world are changed. Verse 23, I do this all for the sake of the gospel, that I may share in his blessings. So the $20 bill I found on the ground, my coworker called me. I'm standing with my principal and one of my co-teachers, and we're waiting for Joey to get there so I can buy his ticket. I've got his ticket already. I already bought it, and we're just waiting for him to get there. And Joey walks up and goes, Craig, that is so nice. And I said, Joey, I got to tell you this story. And my principal and my coworker said to me, you better tell him that story because he thinks you're generous. You know what? That's the truth. That's the truth. I had to tell him the story. I didn't want him to think that I was the ATM. He's got to know that God's the ATM. It's communicating the mercy and grace of God when God puts the need in front of you. All right, let's go back 1 week. Ruby told us this story last week. Her neighbor knocked on the door and said, do you have a can of cream of chicken soup? And she goes, let me look. No, I don't. Door closes. Then she goes, I have become all things to all men. You know what she was? She was a grocery clerk, and she went and bought that can of soup. I was an ATM yesterday. Joey was a coffee delivery guy. Beverly last week was God's chef, and I just got the proceeds of it. I will do anything for anyone. To the weak, I'm weak. To the Jew, I'm a Jew. To the Greek, I'm a Greek. I will do anything in order to communicate the gospel. And you know what, verse 23? And when I change people's worlds, the delight is mine, not just theirs. Don't you love how God sets up his world? Don't you love it? You give, they're blessed, and you're blessed times 5. God's a pretty smart creator, isn't he? Will you please join me in the revolution? The revolution to commit or observe 2,200 acts of world changing in 2014. The list is starting to accumulate. May God add his blessing to the reading and explanation of his word.